Hello, I'm Maciej Mikos and you're watching World Talks. Donald Trump seems resolved to escalate trade tensions with the US main business partners by introducing new tariffs of them, which he believes will make America rich again. But who will lose more from this tariff war and who can already count future profits? And to discuss the issue, we're joined by Tomasz Włostowski, international trade expert and managing partner at EU Strategies. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good to be here.
Thank you for accepting an invitation. So can newly announced tariffs on China, Canada and Mexico prove profitable for the EU in the long run?
Well, for the EU, they could prove profitable, but that's only assuming we're not going to get hit with tariffs ourselves. And I think that's the big question mark. I think Trump has been very clear that he's intending to impose tariffs on literally everybody. So we have China, Mexico, Canada already. He's already announced that as soon as he gets the reports from the various cabinet ministers on the 1st of April, he's going to hit the rest of the world, really. With follow-on tariffs. So European Union is definitely on his target list. He's been complaining about Europe forever, really. So I think we can definitely expect to be hit with tariffs ourselves. However, European Union is quite stronger, I feel, versus the United States than Canada and then Mexico.
Not that dependent on
Not
the
that
US.
dependent.
Mm-hmm.
Mexico is very dependent on the United States. Canada is also very dependent on the United States. The European Union, we're a trade superpower, really. I mean, we have to be honest. Our trade with the United States is very big, but our share of trade with the United States is not that big of a share of the European Union itself. So we have other options, and we can also hit very hard. Because we are actually, if you look at country by country, well, if you treat the European Union as a whole, we are actually America's sort of greatest trade partner. So if it comes to a trade war, we're actually quite powerful.
Now, let me quote Donald Trump from his yesterday's speech. He said that tariffs on China, Canada and Mexico will make America rich again, but there could be little disturbance and there could be an adjustment period. Now, I'm wondering whether American businessmen are ready for this adjustment period and could they look, for markets elsewhere, for example, in Europe?
Well, they definitely could, but again, that depends on how Europe's going to react to American tariffs, because U.S. tariffs on Europe are coming. I mean, that's just going to happen. The question is, how Europe can play the game, whether we will retaliate very hard against the United States or not, because if we do, then American businessmen will not actually be able to come to our market because they're going to be hit with retaliation tariffs in the European Union. So that's definitely going to happen. The tariffs that he's announcing and that he's already announced, they will not make America or American businesses great again. The cost to the United States economy is going to be humongous, because Trump's really attacking all of America's trade. All of the top partners are being hit with tariffs. If he hits the European Union, which is, again, the top partner, he will have affected almost 60% of American imports. Well, that just has to have an inflationary pressure. It will drive up the cost of production in the United States. So American businesses really, number one is they're facing increasing costs. Number two is they're really facing just incredible uncertainty, both as to the trade policy. Trade policy cannot be changing every 2 days. It cannot, because the businesses need to plan. They need to know how they're sourcing their materials, where they're exporting to, where to sign the contracts. They need to know that ahead. So if the trade policy is changing every second, they just don't know where to invest, where to source the materials, because everything can change next week. So I think they're in a very, very difficult period. But what I think eventually is going to happen is you will see the stock market and the business sentiment really being hit. And that will probably push sort of Trump to backtrack a little bit, because one thing he's definitely sensitive to is the business sentiment and to what the business community thinks and how the business community reacts, the stock market and so on. So those are the only things I feel that might actually change sober him up a little bit as to the impact of the trade policy.
But how long will it take? He already said that there will be an adjustment period.
Well, the adjustment period is going to be very long, I feel, because again, number one, it's going to take a while for the tariffs to really affect the prices. So that's the first thing that's going to happen. Trump feels, and this is, not only Trump, but all his trade advisors and his economic advisors claim, look, yes, there will be some hurt, but effectively the net benefit to the United States is going to be humongous. Because what he says is, look, all these tariffs, yes, they're going to make exports more expensive, but basically they will force all the suppliers hit with the tariffs to come to the United States and set up factories here and produce here, create jobs, create greater sort of wealth for the American consumer. So maybe the prices will go up a little bit, but the American consumer is going to be richer because he's going to be earning more money. Now, how long is that going to take? That's going to take forever. I mean, how long does it take to come to the United States, build a factory, hire the people, and let's face it, he's also working on a political calendar. Next midterm elections are only 2 years away, even not 2 years away. So, and it's very clear that both Europe and Canada and Mexico, when they retaliate, they're going to retaliate in a politically sensible way. So what they will do is they will hit the exports of the states which have midterms elections in 2 years from now. So basically, he's looking at a very contracted, I feel, time period. And the benefits, if they come, are going to come in a number of years, and he doesn't have that much time.
China has responded to Donald Trump's tariffs with a similar 10 to 15% duties imposed on American goods. And moreover, the Chinese embassy has issued a statement which reads, "If war is what the US wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we are ready to fight till the end." Now, how to interpret these words?
Well, I think, look, the Chinese are not happy with the tariffs. They're the largest exporter globally. That's number one. Number two, the American market's very important for them. They're also in a bit of economic troubles back home, so this definitely hurts them. I don't feel particularly that they will be able to sort of behave very aggressively in the trade area, because they need to find markets for their goods. If the United States hits China with the tariffs, it's very obvious that then the Chinese have to find another market. Europe's already preparing how to respond, basically, because the first thing that happens in Brussels when we know that there is a war between trade war between the United States and China, the first thing that European officials are thinking, they're already imagining this flood of Chinese imports being redirected from the United States onto the European market. So the European steel industry, the European chemical industry, they're already worried that the Chinese are going to come to our market. So the Chinese are obviously very concerned. And quite frankly, there's not that much they can do trade-wise because they are a very export-dependent economy.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, not only the European Union is on Donald Trump's mind, apart from already taxed Canada, China, and Mexico, but Donald Trump also mentioned South Korea, South America, Japan. Well, is the US still a reliable and predictable partner, talking in economic terms worldwide?
Well, not only economic, but they're not. I mean, I think that's becoming very clear. And I think this is really the big question. You know, the trade questions are part of the whole puzzle, but I think what's slowly dawning on everybody is that they're not only, there's a question mark about them being a reliable trade partner, but also a reliable geopolitical partner. And I think this is the most concerning aspect. Because, Donald Trump is obviously, he's a businessman, he likes to negotiate, he likes to trade things. So, and he's very quick about identifying the weak points of his adversaries. So that list of countries that you've just listed, South Korea, Japan, they're incredibly exposed to American pressure, not on the trade side really, but on the sort of geopolitical security side. So is Europe. So I think Donald Trump has very quickly identified, look, the pressure point really is not in trade. The pressure point is about all the other stuff. The American military presence, American security blanket. And he's going to be using that to extract trade concessions. And he doesn't really need to connect the two because it's obviously connected and everybody knows. South Koreans, when they hear this, they already know what's coming and they're probably going to be quite accommodating. Both the South Koreans and the Japanese, I think they will be looking for a way to appease Mr. Trump. Also knowing, let's remember, the time frame is limited. It's his second term. So, there are midterm elections coming up. So everybody's playing for time. They just need to survive Trump.
Tomasz Włostowski, international trade expert and managing partner at EU Strategies, was our guest today. Thank you.
Thank you very
much. And thank you for watching and stay with us for much more news and comments here on TVP World.